Hello, welcome everyone to another Tuesday evening here with us on our YouTube channel. If you're new to the channel, just dropped out of the sky, that could possibly be. You can always visit www.kabbalah.info. And if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can always join the Cab Academy there. You'll probably have many friends joining also from your country or even from your own city if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah. As usual, on Tuesday evenings, what we're going to do is we're going to go with articles that we went through over the morning lesson. So just repeating some main stuff. And the topic this week, we're going to start something new. It's called On the Verge of Lishma. So we're going to go through selected excerpts as usual. If you're in the morning lesson, just like me, you would have probably gone over these as well. If you have any queries, questions, you can shoot them over as usual. We'll try to answer them from these excerpts as best we can. All right. And so let's get smashing then, shall we? Excerpt number 1. This is from Baal Islam Shamati, article number 20, called Lishma. Lishma means for the sake of the Creator, or for her sake. Sometimes for her sake is also known as for the sake of the Torah. But let's just keep it for the Creator's sake at the moment. Easier to understand. Let's take a look. Concerning Lishma, for her sake. In order for a person to obtain Lishma, one needs an awakening from above, as it is an illumination from above, and it is not for the human mind to understand. Rather, he who tastes knows. It is said about this, taste and see that the Lord is good. Because of this, upon assuming the burden of the kingdom of heaven, one needs it to be in utter completeness, meaning only to bestow and not at all to receive. If a person sees that the organs do not agree with this view, he has no other choice but prayer, to pour out his heart to the Creator to help him make his body consent to enslaving itself to the Creator. All right, so let's go over this one more time, step by step, concerning Lishma, for her sake, meaning that the action, or whatever I do actually, needs to be separated from self-benefit. That's basically what it means. In order for a person to obtain Lishma, one needs an awakening from above, as it is an illumination from above, and it is not for the human mind to understand. So think of it like your dot in the heart, right? When you first started awakening to the question, what's the meaning of my life? What am I living for anyway? Okay, so imagine those questions first popping up inside of you. It's not in your control, because life is working on you. It's massaging you, as they say, right? So life is massaging you, and it brings you to a state where you come to these questions, right? So this is called an awakening from above. Okay, so the Creator is working on us. What else does it say? Rather, he who tastes knows. It is said about this, taste and see that the Lord is good. So this is an initial awakening. But actually, if you think about it, in every phase of our spiritual development, we're going to need this awakening from above. Okay, so there are two types of awakenings. One from awakening from below, where we do the work and kind of awaken the Creator to pull him towards us. And the second one, the other one, is an awakening from above, where the Creator kind of nudges us a little bit, and then he is doing the awakening. Okay, in any case, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, as you probably know if you're studying with us, everything is done by the Creator, right? But here, the participation of the individual is also obviously important. Okay, despite the fact that everything may be done by the Creator, we also need to understand that we need to at least do some kind of participation. So taste and see that the Lord is good. So hopefully we should come to a state where, after this awakening from above, that we should do the work and come to a state where we taste that the attribute of love and bestowal towards others is a good taste. Because of this, upon assuming the burden of the kingdom of heaven, so one is now burdening. Well, I don't want to call it burden, but he has written the word burden there. One, upon assuming the burden of the kingdom of heaven. So once a person loads up on himself or herself the spiritual study the path, let's say, right? Kingdom of heaven, one needs it to be in utter completeness. So we have to come to such a state that if I'm taking on this job, I've got to make sure I'm giving it the best I can, right? So 100%. Meaning only to bestow and not at all to receive. So all my actions, my thoughts, intentions, desires, everything I do needs to be in the direction of bestowal. And not for any self-benefit. Right, so no wonder he calls it a burden, right? If a person sees that the organs do not agree with this view, when he says the organs, my desire to receive for myself, obviously it's not going to agree. So basically he's saying, listen, when you try to work only to bestow, your desire to receive for yourself cannot agree, not will not agree, it cannot agree. All right. So when I see that situation, he has no other choice but prayer. To pour out his heart to the Creator to help him make his body consent to enslaving itself to the Creator. Now, obviously, our body won't want to enslave itself to anyone, even the Creator. However, though, if we do the work, we should come to a state where we see that we are incapable of bestowing. And due to that incapacity, we should be going through some kind of an inner turmoil that should result in us turning to the Creator. All right, and that inner turmoil is the key. Sometimes they call it suffering. Sometimes it's this inner stress. However, though, a person who wants to develop in the attribute of love and bestowal towards others and wants to be free from his desire to receive for himself or herself, then that person has no other choice but from that stress to turn to the Creator so that the Creator can change him. Why? Simply because we did not create ourselves. The Creator created us, and we are not capacitated. We don't have the faculties to change ourselves. Okay, so we're not there as created beings. We don't have those inner or external faculties to change ourselves in any way. Accordingly, whether mental or emotional, those faculties are just not in us. So we have no other choice but to pray, to pour out our heart to the Creator to help him so that our body will consent, so that our desire to receive will bow to the fact of enslaving itself to the Creator, meaning obviously the Creator does not need a slave, right? Enslaving ourselves to the Creator, it means that instead of being the slave of my selfish egoism, I turn my nature, with the help of the Creator, obviously, into bestowal, love and bestowal, okay? That is actually the state where a person can feel free, when one is independent of the desire to receive, that nature that's constantly pushing us to receive everything for our personal benefit. All right, any questions? You guys just wave your hands at me and let me know. All right, so I'm going to move on to item number 2 if there's nothing happening. Item number 2. This is from Baal Islam Shamati article. Number 5. Lishma is an awakening from above, and why do we need? Yes, somebody's waving. Okay, so there is a question. Ingrid is asking, how to make plans for the future if Kabbalah says that everything is predetermined? How to understand this? Well, look, we've got to look at it from a logical perspective. Okay, even though Kabbalists say, listen, everything is done by the Creator, it's all done by him, and there's none else besides him, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're not there yet. I don't see that everything is being done by the Creator. I don't feel the Creator. If I don't feel the Creator, if I don't sense the Creator doing these things, it's not possible for me to really agree with the situation. Second of all, if I did agree with the situation, it would be blind faith. So we'd be like a religious man. Okay. This is why I've got to be in between two discernments. So on the one hand, the Kabbalists are saying there's none else besides him. Fair enough. Okay. And they write about it. And from some things I can say, oh my God, this really was not me. It really is some outside force. On the other hand, inside of me, there's always the mini-me that says, hey, I did everything. Okay. So I'm left in this dilemma, right? On the one hand, I got things out of my control. On the other thing, I can say, yeah, I got up to the morning lesson. I came, I did this, I did that. Okay. So we're left in a bit of a dilemma. So we have to be realistic in our study and not fantastic. Okay. That's how it needs to pan out. So on the one hand, I'm studying what the Kabbalists are saying. I'm taking on board what they're teaching and recommending. And on the other hand, though, I can work with that from the state that I'm in and not from La La Land. Okay, does that make sense? So yeah, on the one hand, everything is done by him, but on the other hand, I have to say to myself, well, if I'm not for me, who is for me? So a person always needs to search for where one can exert effort, where one can add to the work. Okay, so that's how we need to understand it. Okay, I cannot work on assumptions. I've got to work on solidly what I feel, what I'm going through, what I'm evaluating. Well, Marlon is saying, the Creator has given you all the desires, plans of the future. The Creator puppets us all until we cross. And Ingrid is saying, should one do good to others if one doesn't feel like it? Well, that's not such a bad idea. Look, sometimes we don't like going to work, okay? But we still go. Why? Because we have to. So the recommendation here is this. If our nature is egoistic and only self-love, and if I see that it's not giving me a fulfilled life, and the Kabbalists are saying, well, how about trying loving others? It's not a bad idea to give it a shot. Wouldn't you say? We've been living in our desire to receive since birth. Since we're studying spirituality, obviously, our life hasn't really worked out the way we wanted it to work out. So the Kabbalists are saying, listen, if you came to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, obviously your life isn't exactly what you wanted it to be. And the way things are going, it doesn't look like it's going to be what you want it to be. So how about trying out a new strategy? Instead of loving yourself, try loving others, and let's see how that works. All right. It's a recommendation. So what are we doing? Despite the fact that it's against our nature, we're trying to do something that they recommended. What are we going to see? Well, we're going to see whatever turns out. So according to my effort and exertion, I'm going to come out with a result. And that result should allow me to evaluate my current state. And from that current state, if I keep studying, I should be able to lay down the foundations, let's say, or the stepping stones for the next degree that I'm supposed to go to. How to do good to others? Well, look, we can start by supporting each other in our tens or in our groups. If you have a 10, great. If you don't have a 10, might be worthwhile having a chat with your country coordinators and getting yourself into a group. And if you're able to do that, then obviously you can start there. Helping others means helping others to get to the purpose of life. Obviously, we're not missionaries, so we're not going out to the streets and telling everyone, hey, you got a meaning to your life and I'm going to help you get there. No, it's all working in the group among us. Why? Because when we come to the wisdom of Kabbalah and we're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, what we're doing is we have a mutual understanding, first of all, that all of us wants to achieve something, a common thing, which is the purpose and meaning of life. And that is to attain a higher level of consciousness called godly consciousness, let's say, right? Perceiving the creator, perceiving the whole of reality. and so forth. So only I can help really the people around me who are directed into the same goal as me. So try to do that in your tens, in your groups, and that's the best way to go. Marlon is asking, when we come to the recognition of evil, see we are the problem, and come to the prayer for the Creator's nature, it seems the state is going to be forever. Is this like ripening fruit, maturing? Certainly can say that. And it does cause frustration to a person because you're studying, you're beginning to see a lot of negative traits in you, which you don't really appreciate. And then you kind of like turn to the Creator. But it's what you have to determine here is this: look, seeing your evil nature and really desiring for the Creator to change your nature are two different things. Okay, so seeing the truth is one thing, and seeing how ugly it is and really feeling like you've got to be free from this is a different thing. And that's an accumulation process. So as we go through this accumulation process, this is why we're studying day to day, you know, like constantly, it's like being constantly on the move when you're studying the wisdom of Kabbalah. You're constantly on the move, you're constantly adding and adding and adding. So as you add more work, day-to-day work, what really happens is you digging further and further inside of you, and then you begin to wonder, how much worse can I get? You know, how bad am I? And then you begin to discover everything, and then you start to get sick, like not sick physically, but you start to feel sick with yourself. Okay, do you know what I mean? You just feel like puking up and that kind of stuff. So you begin to understand that your nature is beginning to cause you damage, and then you start to take a step back. You know, you become more quieter, you become more focused internally, and you just, you know, you're just lost for words, basically. You're really lost for words about your own nature. And sometimes you pray so much that you're lost for words with the Creator as well. You're like, what can I say? I don't know. It's like, you know what? You deal with it. Because that's where you get to. You just feel like, you know, you just feel like you just have no words to describe how things in you can really surface. So it's a process, which is an accumulative process, like I said, and that accumulation really over time brings a person slowly to a state where he's even lost for words. He doesn't even know what to say to the Creator. So yeah, we'll go through those stuff. Marlon's asking, I get it, just because I see me the problem, but am I wanting away from it to do? Am I wanting away from it, or do I want to stay there? Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, do you want to get rid of it, or, you know, sometimes a person says, yeah, you know, I'm bad. What can you do? Right. So there's that state. And then you can say, you know what, this is awful. I just don't want to be like this. Just better off if I just, you know, end it right here. So we'll go through those phases, and it takes time. It takes time for children to grow up. Same in spirituality. It takes time for us to realize the states that we're going through and we're in. So, item number 2. The need for man's work in order to receive the Lishma from the Creator is only in the form of a lack and a kli. Yet, one can never obtain the filling by himself. It is rather a gift from the Creator. However, the prayer must be a complete prayer from the bottom of the heart. This means that one knows 100% that there is no one in the world who can help him but the Creator himself. Yet, how does one know this? That no one will help him but the Creator himself. One can acquire that awareness precisely if he has exerted all the powers at his disposal and it did not help him. Thus, one must do every possible thing in the world to attain for the sake of the Creator. Then one can pray from the bottom of the heart, and then the Creator hears his prayer. All right, so let's read that again and go over it one by one. Okay. The need for man's work in order to receive the Lishma from the Creator is only in the form of a lack and a kli. So we must have a desire for this, right? If we don't have a desire, there's nothing to talk about. Okay, it's like we need to have a desire for the Creator. Yet one can never obtain the feeling by himself. It is rather a gift from the Creator. Just like wanting something, right? When kids want something from the parents, the kids can't get it done themselves, but they keep asking for it. And as they ask more and more and more, the parents finally get sick and tired of their asking and say, here, have it. Okay, there you go. And then the kid's all of a sudden happy. Okay, everybody's happy because you're not getting headaches. The kid is happy. They got what they want and everybody's having a ball. All right, but the important thing here is to see the desire. Okay, a strong desire is necessary because if you don't have a good longing, if you don't have a good desire, you won't get any taste, right? Taste, feeling can only be felt if you have a good, but like, what can I say? The hardcore desire, like a real desire. It's like you want nothing else. It's the only thing you want. And then you're working on it over time, which allows you to build a real vessel. It's like this is the only thing you want, and that's the only thing you're going for. And then the Creator, bang, nails it, and that's the fulfillment. And then you get complete joy, just like in life, right? If you imagine, right, getting a present you never wanted in the first place. Okay, you have no need for it. You didn't want this, and somebody just bought you a present for a birthday. You think, what is this anyway? Right? So they go home and you just dump it in the bin. Why? Because you never desire for it. But imagine like you're a kid and you've been wanting this bicycle for ages and ages, and you know, like you're 7, 8, and you're waiting for this bicycle to come through for years, and your parents are saying, well, you know, we're going to see how you go and blah blah blah. And then afterwards they surprise you with this bicycle, and then all of a sudden you feel a great fulfillment because you had a yearning for it for a long time. So if you get stuff easy, there's no fun. But if you run after stuff, then you get fulfillment. Okay, it's called a flirt. Okay, same thing with the Creator as well. So the Creator is like in David's writings, right? In Tehillim, is like a deer. He's running away and then turning back, checking to see if you're coming. Okay, that's crazy, but it's how it is. And this is like this little flirt going on with the Creator. And that way, we're going through ups and downs as well, right? So all the ups and downs we go in the work as well, emotionally, it's an actual flirt. It allows you to build a vessel. And we need one of those. However, the prayer must be a complete prayer. It means, what's a complete prayer? It means I don't want anything else. Everything else is just like on the sidelines. I use for necessities to get by in life, and the rest is history. From the bottom of the heart, that's what it means. Because the heart is all of our desires. So from the bottom of the heart means that I've put aside all my desires and I'm just chasing this one. This means that one knows 100% that there is no one in the world who can help him but the Creator himself. Yet, how does one know this? That no one will help him but the Creator himself. One can acquire that awareness precisely if he has exerted all the powers at his disposal and it did not help him. Now, this is an important little principle. How can I know that no one but the Creator can help me? It says, well, the recommendation is you do your best and then you forget the rest. Okay, so you got to do your best. You got to nail it 24/7, 365, like you're on duty. Okay, and do your best. And once you've exhausted every avenue, then you can say, I can't do this. I need an outside help. Okay, same with kids. They try to do everything. They're trying to do something all the time. And when they can't do it, they come to you and ask for help. Because they tried and it's just not working out. So this is exactly what we need to go through. This is why exertion is really important in the wisdom of Kabbalah, like to give effort. The more effort you give, the more you come to the realization that the things you can do just really limited. Okay. Thus, one must do every possible thing in the world to obtain for the sake of the Creator. Everything. Okay, whatever we need to do, we work on it. And then one can pray from the bottom of the heart, and then the Creator hears his prayer. Okay, and that's just how it is. So without the exertion, without doing everything, like our friend Ingrid said, if everything is done by the Creator, what am I supposed to do? Well, if you don't give effort, you can't build a vessel. What we're supposed to do is come to the Creator with a desire. And that desire can only be built inside of us if we're like really working on it. And once you do your best, like exhaust everything you've got in you, then you come to a heartfelt prayer. And that's just how it pans out, right? Otherwise, you can't really see that you can't do this. Because all the time there's a thought inside of us that says, I've got to do this, I can do this, I'll do this, and I'll do that, blah, blah, blah. And that kind of like, extends time a little bit. So the sooner we come to the realization by doing everything that we can, that we're not capable of changing ourselves, the sooner we can come to a prayer. And that really depends on the integration that a person has with their group. Okay. So let's get to number 3. This is also from Rabash article number 12. What are Torah and work in the way of the Creator? Feeling the vitality in the Torah requires great preparation. To prepare his body to be able to feel the life in the Torah. This is why our sages said we must begin in Lishma, and through the light of Torah, he obtains while still in Lishma. It will bring him to Lishma, since the light in it reforms him. Then he will be able to learn Lishma, meaning for the sake of the Torah, which is called Torah, law of life. As he has already attained the life in the Torah, for the light in the Torah will have given such qualification to a person as to be able to feel the life that is in the Torah. Let's read that again. Feeling the vitality in the Torah requires great preparation to prepare his body to be able to feel the life in the Torah. Right? So once again, body is the desire to receive. We're never talking about physical stuff in the wisdom of Kabbalah. All right, it's always the desire to receive and the intention to bestow. This is why our sages said we must begin in Lishma, and through the light of Torah he obtains while still in Lishma. It will bring him to Lishma, since the light in it reforms. It means that we're always starting the process from egoism. Right? Lishma basically means I'm studying for myself, right? Studying spirituality for myself. I'm doing this for my self-benefit, and that's fine. Nobody expects you to turn into, a bestower overnight when you come to study the wisdom of Kabbalah. So the important thing here to understand is that everybody is egoistic. We're all starting the work egotistically. And what we have to do, though, while studying in that phase, in that time, in that period, that the study within itself applies in us changes. And that's what it says, the Torah changes a person. The light in it reforms him. So while we study the wisdom of Kabbalah, we get a lot of insight about our nature, human nature, and not just human nature as well, but the general laws of nature as well, where we can actually discern what our nature is like, and we can also have some comparison base to seeing laws of nature in action as well. So we begin to see life at a deeper level as we study more and more the wisdom of Kabbalah. And if I see things at a deeper level, it allows me to make adjustments. It doesn't really allow me to change my nature, but it does change the way I look at life. Okay, and that's the important thing. So when the study, the light in it reforms him, this brings a person a new perspective, a new approach, a new angle of how to look at things. Then he will be able to learn Lishma, meaning for the sake of the Torah, which is called Torah, law of life, as he has already attained the life in the Torah. For the light in the Torah will have given such qualification to a person as to be able to feel the life that it is in the Torah. So gradually a person through the study should also come to a prayer which should be answered by the Creator, which is then going to cause him to switch from Lo Lishma to Lishma, where he'll actually feel and live inside the attribute of bestowal, which is also known as perceiving the Creator. And through then on, it will develop, that person will develop step by step and raise himself in or herself in spirituality. And that's what it's called, to see the law of life. Okay, because the laws of the Creator are the laws of nature. And the more a person can adapt himself to the laws of nature, which is actually love and bestowal, then a person can elevate to the perception of the Creator. And that's what we need to attain while we're living in this life, right? Not when we're dead, while we're actually alive and living. Okay, any questions? You guys let me know. I'm just going to move forward if there are no questions. There is one question. There is a question, okay. Patricia is asking, is every correction done in the process of going from Lo Lishma to Lishma? Yeah, because as I go through, as I how can I say it, as I progress in spirituality, there are 125 steps. And in fact, there are millions of steps in between as well, okay? Imagine it like your life, right? We've got, like, let's say, a life of what, 80, 90 years, let's say, God willing, right? Hopefully, we don't go earlier. All right, let's say we've got 80 to 90 years, but every year has got 365 days. It's got, every day has 24 hours. So, you know, it's got minutes and seconds and so on. So during that whole process, we're going through a bunch of stuff, you know, every second kind of thing, every minute. Even when we're sleeping, we're going through changes. So despite the fact that there are main steps, 5 worlds, 5 parts of him, 5 lights, which make up the 125 steps of spirituality, there are many in-between steps. So every time I reveal a new desire to receive, then I have to start that degree in Lo Lishma, which is actually not a bad thing, because it allows me to see how that desire is egotistic or selfish and so on. Then what I need to do is bring that desire from Lo Lishma to Lishma. So that's how I'm actually making a correction upon myself as well. So I'm correcting myself every time a new desire to receive from myself is revealed. And who can do that? The Creator can do that, but the study allows me to see that. Okay, so studying the wisdom of Kabbalah actually allows us to clarify what needs correction. And that clarification allows us to demand from the Creator the right thing. Okay, so that's how you build a bridge between yourself and the Creator as well. So now you see, oh, that's me. I need to change that, but I can't change it. Don't have the strength to change it or the ability to change my nature. So then I can actually build some kind of a connection through a demand, through that vessel we talked about before, with the Creator to kind of come and correct that. And once that correction is done, then the vessel can be fulfilled with the light in order to bestow. Inger's asking, how can one realize oneself in the wisdom of Kabbalah? Well, first of all, I have to really think about this a little bit. What does it mean to realize myself, right? First of all, I have to think about what I want to attain, what I want to achieve. So I have to have a starting point. I have to clarify to myself what I want to get out of the wisdom of Kabbalah. And, as we study more and more, we can clarify this every day, what you want to get, how you want to build yourself. So the wisdom of Kabbalah is actually a very juicy science because humans are changing. Like as we study, we change day to day. Many people on the outside in their day-to-day life, they don't feel like they're going through any changes. But when you study the wisdom of Kabbalah, you're like always going through change. Then just like, well, sometimes it's overwhelming and you're like, oh, come on, you're killing me. Okay. So you're constantly going through ups and downs. Like, what's going on? And the important thing here is this: while I'm going through all the ups and downs, I have to clarify to myself, why am I going through them and what I need to do with them? In order for me to realize myself in the wisdom of Kabbalah, I have to have the goal in front of me all the time. And I have to relate everything I'm going through in my life to the goal. Okay, because if I want to realize myself as something, I have to have a vision of what that something needs to be. So this is why clarifying the intention, the objective, what we want to get, this is why the intention is the most important thing. What do I want to get from the study? What do I want to get from this? So this is what we need to focus on a lot. And we need to do that really every day. Before the morning lesson, preparation for the lesson is surely 20 minutes of, why am I doing this? What do I need to get from this? What am I aiming to get? What do I want to get? How would I like to change? So all of those questions need to come together. They need to be directed into my actions now so that I can come to the future outcome that I'm envisioning. If I'm not doing that one by one, it's like joining the dots, right? When we were kids, used to get these little exercise books and you need to, join the dots together and a picture used to come out, right? So it's like that. I want to see that picture. I want to envision it. And then I want all my thoughts, intentions, actions directed specifically at that all the time. And that's the only way. And the way to kind of focus yourself to that is through the group, because through your interaction with the group, you get the ability to recognize your inner traits. And then you begin to see what you want to be, what you don't want to be, how you want to change, and so forth. All of the discernments need to arise as an outcome of my interaction with others, so I can go through the emotions, right, which are actually the steps of change. Well, I hope that makes sense. Does it make sense? Okay, right. Hope that makes sense well to everyone. All right. Okay, listen, guys, we're going to call it a night tonight because we've got to finish a little early, because not that I don't like the lesson, I quite like the topic as well. And I love these Tuesday evenings, but I've got an interview about the wisdom of Kabbalah in about 10, 15 minutes. And we've got to actually prepare for that as well on a live Instagram, live Instagram interview. All right, so we're going to prepare for that. So while the reason I'm mentioning it is so that you can all think about me as well, so we can have a good session, and hopefully this work of dissemination will work and will help some people get enlightened and awaken them as well. All right, so in the interim, as usual, we're going to love you and leave you, and see you guys next Tuesday. Have a good one. All the best. Take care.